Chapter 14. Tam sat on the stream bank with Doogy, Ferdinand and Onewell. It was long gone dawn, and no cooking fires had been lit. They breakfasted on hard oatcakes and apples, with stream water to wash them down. Doogy blew rainwater off his swollen nose.
"Ach, 'tis no much a day to be going on with."
Onewell chuckled dryly.
"What? Complaints already, Mr. Plumm? You've not been with the patrol more than a day or two, and look at the fun you've had. A nice little stroll of march, a fight, and now you're moaning about the beautiful morning and a free drizzle wash. You don't know your born, mate."
Ferdinand gazed gloomily out at the prevailing mist and rain.
"Lucky old us, what? I say, Sarge, where's the Brigadier got to?"
Onewell cocked a paw behind him.
"Saw him go up to the top of the bank yonder. I've got a feeling Brig Crumshaw'll be wanting me shortly."
As if in answer, the Brigadier's voice called from the bank top.
"Sergeant Onewell, do you mind attending me, please?"
The hare's tough features broke into a grin.
"See? Told you. Come on, buckos. Let's see what the Hofsar requires."
Brigadier Crumshaw waved his swagger stick at the flatlands in front of them.
"You see this confounded mist and blinking drizzle too? Can't abide the blithering stuff. Right, Sergeant? Quick's the word and sharp's the action, what? Can't move about here waiting for gallopers all day, hey?"
The sergeant was aware of his officer's plan. He saluted.
"Exactly, sir. Just as you say. I take it you want the patrol up and marching, sir. But what about young Kersey and Dauncey, sir?"
Tam shouldered his shield. "We'll probably meet up with them on the march." Crumshaw pointed his stick at Tam.
"Well said, that chap. Brisk march or get the miseries out of us. What? Maybe the blinking weather'll buck up soon."
The long patrol were glad to form ranks and march off, even though their paws squished on the damp grass. Doogy trudged along, looking thoughtful.
"Suppose those wee gallopers, Kersey and Dauncey, is it? Suppose they miss us all in this mist?"
Onewell kept his eyes straight ahead.
"That's a thought, Mr. Plumm. Master Domain, sir, would you oblige us with a song? Sing out good and loud so the gallopers will hear. That should do the trick."
Ferdinand coughed and tried to look distressed.
"Actually, I've got a bit of a jolly old frog in me throat this morning, Sarge. Couldn't some other chap do the singing?"
Onewell grinned mischievously.
No, young Ferdinand. Hordes is hordes. Let the frog do the singing, eh?"
The young hare had quite a fair tenor voice, which rang out nicely as he rendered no barracks room ballad.
"When I joined the regiment, my comrades said to me, 'There is one beast we fear much more than the foe. An army marches on its stomach, so it is plain to see that fool we call the cook has got to go. Oh, the cook, oh, the cook. If words could kill, or just a dirty look, he'd have snuffed it long ago, turned his paws up, don't you know? He'd be gladly written off the record book. What a greasy fat old toad, that assassin of the road. We tried to hire him to the enemy, but they smelt the stew he made. Mercy on us, they're afraid. We'll surrender, you can have him back for free. Oh, the cook, oh, the cook. He could poison a battalion with his chook. I've seen him boiling cabbage, and the filthy little savage takes a bath in it to wash off all the muck. He made a batch of scones, big grey lumpy solid ones. The sergeant lost 4 teeth and just 1 bite. Then an officer ordered me, sling them at the enemy, and those we don't slay we'll put to flight. Oh, the cook, he's stirring porridge with his rusty hook, playing hopscotch with the toast, he's the one we hate the most. Tonight we're going to roast that blooming cook."
A shout came from the mist.
"What ho, the long patrol!" The Brigadier called in reply. "Gallopers, come in and make your report."
Kersey and Dauncey came bounding out of the mist. Slowing to the march, they told the tale, each in turn. Kersey went first.
"Followed the vermin to the woodlands, sir. They entered Mossflower at the southwest fringe, on a track twixt some alders and some buckthorns."
Dauncey followed his sister with hardly a break.
"We got jolly close to the blighters, sir. Some nasty-looking bits of work among that blooming bunch. Guess what? We saw the Gulo beast, too. My word, what a blinking horror. Hate to bump into him on a dark night, what?"
Fixing his monocle rigidly upon the pair, the Brigadier fumed.
"Confounded perilous young buffoons! My orders were that you kept a safe distance from those murdering cannibals. They ain't green behind the ears, you know. You could have both been captured and eaten alive."
Kersey pouted airily.
Catch 2 gallopers like us, sir. Fat flipping chance. All those clods would catch and be mouthfuls of our dust. Brigadier Crumshaw looked as if he were about to explode. His moustache bristled as he thundered at the gallopers. Silence! Insubordination in the belly ranks. What? Sergeant, place these insolent young blighters on firewood gathering and pot-washing duties as of now. Dauncey gave a snort of disbelief. But, sir, that's not fair. Crumshaw bellowed at the unfortunate pair. Enough, I say! One more word from either of you malcontents and I'll have you clapped under close arrest and marched back to Salamander's Front to cool your paws in the guardhouse. I'm relieving you of scouting and galloping duties until you learn to follow orders correctly. What? Sergeant Wanwell kept his eyes front as he spoke to the downcast twins. No arguments. You heard the officer, young uns. Off you go now. Report to Corporal Wopscott. He'll show you your chores. Kersey and Dauncey saluted before marching off stiffly, tears of hot indignation burning bright in their eyes. The brigadier watched their retreating figures with a fatherly eye. Young pair of buckos, what? One day they'll make splendid officers and perilous warriors, mark my words. But they've got to learn some jolly hard lessons first if we're to keep them from being slain, right, Sergeant? Wanwell's tough face mellowed. Right, you are, sir, though you can't help feeling sorry for the young rips. But who's going to take their place as gallopers, sir? With a sweep of his swagger stick, Crumshaw indicated Tam, Doogy and Ferdinand. These 3 ruffians, I fancy, what? Wanwell could not help a passing glance at Doogie's solid little figure. Hardly cut out for galloping, sir. Tam interjected. Maybe not, sir, but I don't think the brigadier's looking for gallopers. Things could get a bit sticky keeping tabs on 100 vermin. We'll need beasts who've seen a bit of action, good stalkers who can use their judgment, sir. The brigadier's swagger stick tapped Tam's chest. Took the words out of me mouth, MacBurl. You and Plumm here have been round the trees a few times, I can tell. As for young Domain, he could jolly well benefit from the experience. He'll do all the galloping needed at a pinch. Doogie saluted the brigadier with his claymore. I take you to be the brawny scouts for a wee while. I'm wondering whether to be flattered or battered, sir. Crumshaw smiled briefly. Draw ration packs from Corporal Wopscott and go to it, you chaps. Report back this evening. We'll meet up by those alders and buckthorns young Kersey mentioned. That'll be all for now. Dismissed. 3 sets of footballs pounded the mist-shrouded flatlands, headed northeast for the woodlands. Ferdinand was way out in front, with Tam a close second and Doogie trying gallantly, but struggling at the rear. After a while, the little Highlander slowed to a jog. Clutching a paw to his side, he called out to the hare. Well, you know, slack off a wee bit, you lang-legged hairpin. I wasn't built for dashing about like a scalded frog. Ferdinand decreased his pace, grinning at Tam. I say, I can't see the little barrel bottom in this blinking mist. Where do you suppose he's got to, what? Tam caught up with Ferdinand and took a hold of his paw. Not so fast, mate. The woods won't run away. They'll still be there when we arrive. Doogie came out of the mist, panting like a bellows. Oh, here, I thought you'd got lost. I'll walk in front of you and you can follow me at a respectable pace. Ferdinand chuckled good-naturedly. Oh, how can I soar like an eagle when I'm surrounded by waddling ducks, eh? Ha! Winking slyly at Tam, Doogie stuck out his forepaw and tripped the young hare. Obligingly, he helped Ferdinand up. I'd go easy if I were ye. More haste, less speed, my old granny used to say. The hare brushed dew from his tunic. Wise creature, old granny, point taken, old lad. Doogie did an elaborate bow. Thank you, old boy, old lad, old chap, what, I'm totally blinking peppy. Tam walked alongside them, laughing. You sounded just like Ferdinand then, mate. Doogie straightened his cap, tugging at his ear tips. I will have decided to become a hare, you know. Ferdinand scoffed. You, a bally hare? Right, then I'll be a Highland squirrel. How'd that suit ye? Tam shook his head. Go on, let's hear you then. Ferdinand adopted Doogie's truculent swagger comically. Och, then you, I like a wee stroll to the woods on a misty day, 'cause I can't dash about like yon wee hare. He looked at them, trying to keep their faces straight. Come on, you chaps, how did I do? The truth now? Tam burst into gales of laughter as Doogie complained indignantly. I sounded like I'd swum out into the sea and drowned myself long since. Ferdinand replied huffily, Really? Is that a fact? Well, if I sounded like you did, trying to imitate me, I'd have begged that Gulo chap to scoff me pretty sharpish. They continued ragging and making good-humoured fun of one another as they marched. The mist began lifting in the early noon, and Tam spotted the tree line ahead. Whoosh! Keep it down now, mates. We don't need to advertise our presence to any foe beasts who might be around. We'll split up now and circle in from 3 ways. Doogy, take the left. I'll take the right. Ferdy, you go straight in, but keep your eyes peeled, mate. See you both by that big old alder tree yonder. Good luck. They reached the alder with no untoward happenings. Tam picked up the vermin trail. They went this way. Can you track these marks, Ferdy? The hare unsheathed his long rapier. Course I can. They look pretty plain to me, Tam. But why do you want me to track, what? Doogy could not help sounding slightly self-satisfied. Because, my lanky friend, we'll be taken to the trees. Us squirrels are fair speedy beasts up in yon foliage. Being a ground crawler, you'll have to stay down here, old boy. Tam sprang up into the buckthorns. Don't worry, we'll keep in touch with you. The mist is gone now. We can see more from up there. Take care, Ferdy. Doogy chuckled maliciously. Aye, and don't go tripping up and falling over now. The woodlands were still and eerily silent as Ferdinand made his way forward. There was neither wind nor breeze, but the drizzle had collected on branch and leaf. It plopped and dropped in the stillness until Ferdinand was wet through. But he followed the trail dutifully until he came to a glade where Tam and Doogy were waiting for him. The young hare looked around. Feathers everywhere. They must have slaughtered quite a few birds. Confounded savages. Tam ran his dirk point through the ashes of a fire. This ain't properly out, see? Look at the half-finished bird there. And the broken eggs, too. Looks to me like these vermin left here in a big hurry, Doogy? His companion picked up a broken shell necklace and a pouch of sling stones. Aye, I wonder why they went in such a haste, Tam. The warrior squirrel began climbing into a nearby oak. I don't know, but I'm going to find out. Doogy, you stay here and keep your eyes open. Fergie, time for you to do a sport of galloping. Make it back to patrol and tell the brigadier what's happening. It may be important. Tam dropped his shield to the ground so he would not be impeded. A moment later he was whipping through the middle terraces to the north. As he travelled, it was quite easy to track the vermin trail below. Gulo and his bandit pushed forward heedlessly, breaking twigs, flattening shrubbery, and generally having a broad path. It was well into noontide when Tam heard the vermin up ahead. A little further and he would have them in sight. He halted in the broad limbs of a chestnut tree to catch his breath and check his blades. Tam knew that when he reached the vermin, silence would be essential. Wrapping his plaid cloak into a tight bundle about his shoulder, he adjusted the claymore in his belt so that it could be quickly drawn. There was a faint rustle of leaves from above, in the top branches of the chestnut. Before Tam could raise his eyes to look up, he was hit forcibly by a descending object and knocked out of the tree.